We start off with something that can help you this morning. Support comes from Zbiotics. I have to tell you about this game-changing product that I use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. It's Zbiotics. It's Zbiotics pre-alcohol. It's a drink. It is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle those rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol turns into a toxic byproduct in your gut. And it is that buildup, it's not dehydration, that makes you feel like you got hit by a truck the next day. You know what I'm talking about? So here's my story. The first time I tried Zbiotics was before a friend's dinner party. I've told you about it. Cocktails, wine, you name it. Normally the next morning I'd feel like I ran a marathon in my sleep. But this time I woke up early, had my coffee, went for a jog. I was shocked. Make Zbiotics your first drink of the night, and you can feel your best tomorrow. So go to zbiotics.com/lemon for 15% off your first order with code LEMON. It is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. Zbiotics.com/lemon. The code is LEMON. Good morning, lemon heads. I got a really good night's sleep last night. Thank you, Beam. I got a really great night's sleep. How are you guys? How are you doing? I'm glad that you're here with us this morning. Of course, as usual, I say that every morning. What are we going to talk about? I don't know. But let me tell you this. I need you to make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the like, because it does affect the algorithm and people become aware of the very important conversation that we're going to have. And I guess you can say classes in session, this lesson that we're going to get today on democracy or lack there. Maybe it's autocracy. Because we're living in really scary times right now. Not only do we have an administration that's protecting PDF files, you know what I mean, and possibly protecting one who is in a very high place. We don't know. There's no evidence thus far that points directly to it, but there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. And as you know, in court cases, circumstantial evidence is very important. And then we have people who are completely defying the Constitution at the highest level of government, the highest judicial level, and that's the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, who basically just said it's okay to discriminate against black and brown people, or I guess we can use anyone on a racial basis. Anyone on any sort of, I guess you can say, circumstantial basis. So if you can, excuse me, implicate someone based on circumstances, then I guess Donald Trump the same would apply to Donald Trump, would it not? I'm just saying. So make sure you become a member. If you're not a member, make sure you subscribe. The subscribe button is right below the comments on the right hand of the screen, or you can go to our main show page on YouTube. Go to donlemon.com first, click on the YouTube button, and then become a member or subscribe. Okay. So we start out, we're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, the Donald Trump receipts. We're going to talk more about it because specifically we know what is in that birthday book. And every single person within the sound of my voice should be concerned about it, because what we are learning is extremely creepy behavior on the part of Jeffrey Epstein, of course, and Donald Trump. Bring it, Don. Who said that in the comments? You're right. So let's bring it this morning, Lemon Nation. And then we're going to be joined by someone who's going to explain to us just how dangerous what is happening with the Supreme Court, and with giving these people the ability just to be able to round people up based on how they look and how they sound and where they're working. Show me your papers. It's really sad. So let's get to it. All right. So this morning, lawyers for Jeffrey Epstein, the state, they've given Congress a copy of the birthday book put together by the financier for his 50th birthday. For his 50th birthday. It includes a letter with Trump's signature that Donald Trump says doesn't exist. Okay, it does exist. Yesterday afternoon, the House Oversight Committee members confirmed that they received a copy of such birthday book, including the letter bearing Trump's signature. President Trump called the Epstein investigation a hoax. He claimed that his birthday note didn't exist. Now we know that Donald Trump was lying, and he is doing everything he can to cover up the truth. That's what Representative Robert Garcia of California said. He is the Oversight Committee's Democratic ranking member. And he said, enough of the game, enough of the lies. This is the same thing that I told you yesterday, by the way. The birthday book was given Epstein in 2003 before his first arrest in 2006. It was professionally bound and contained letters from dozens of Epstein's then associates, including Donald Trump, former President Bill Clinton, billionaire Leon Black. The Journal has reported some of the messages were anodyne birthday wishes. Both others contained sexual references and suggested drawings or photos. Donald Trump was listed under Friends, under the Friends section in the book, in the table of contents, along with Bill Clinton and 20 other associates. A CBS report starts us off this morning.
This was the 50th birthday message allegedly from President Trump to Jeffrey Epstein in 2003. Years before Epstein was convicted of soliciting prostitution from a minor, the Republican-led U.S. House Oversight Committee obtained the card and a series of other records under subpoena from the Epstein estate Monday. Democrats on the panel first released an image of it and noted the birthday message closes with a reference to a wonderful secret. Trump has repeatedly denied making the sketch or the card.
I don't even know what they're talking about. Now, somebody could have written a letter and used my name, but that's happened a lot. I'm not a drawing person. I don't do drawings of women, that I can tell you.
And he filed a $10 billion defamation lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal and its owner for reporting the note's existence. Minutes after the image was released Monday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt posted that the birthday card story is false and said President Trump did not draw this picture and he did not sign it. During a July interview with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell acknowledged compiling the birthday book, but claimed not to remember if Trump contributed to it.
It's been so long, I want to tell you that I don't remember. I honestly don't remember.
Also included in the records released by the Epstein estate, a birthday message, apparently from former President Clinton, written in 2003 before Epstein was convicted. The House Oversight Committee has been investigating the handling of the investigation and the prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein. They've also subpoenaed records from the Department of Justice, some of which have been released, nearly all of which were already public.
Pardon me. So there you go. And still has not released the full Epstein files. What are they hiding? Let's be honest. What is Donald Trump hiding? He's hiding something. He is hiding something. And I'm sick of people saying, well, you know, he was an informant. Bunk that. Mike Johnson walked that back. And as the New York Times is reporting, this will give you an indication. In Epstein's birthday book, a celebration of his lecherous exploits. Lecherous exploits. That's according to the New York Times. The book containing 50th birthday tributes to Jeffrey Epstein was released Monday by the House Oversight Committee. One friend compared him to the main character in Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea, except instead of fish, Jeffrey Epstein caught women, blonde, red, brunette. Another friend described a demeaning sexual encounter with a woman endured in the back of a car that left Mr. Epstein howling with laughter. So many girls, so little time, wrote a third associate of Mr. Epstein. Such tributes are part of the birthday book, which was dedicated to Mr. Epstein in his 50th birthday in 2003. Page 238 of the book, littered with candid photos, drawings, and collages, was released on Monday by the House Oversight Committee. Let's go through some of these things, and then you're going to hear from some of the people who are trying to, at least at this point, make excuses. So let's start at the beginning of this book. At the very beginning, you see the first 50 years, okay? And then you see the contents. Prologue is by none other than Ghislaine Maxwell. And then it has his family, Paula Seymour, and then, of course, Mark Epstein, his brother, who you know because he's appeared on this show several times. Some names are redacted. Some famous names in there as well. Leon Black, Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz in the book. And as you continue down, this is the friends section. Mort Zuckerman, Leslie Wexner, who you've come to know. And then above that, see the redacted part? 2 above that is Donald Trump, who is in the book. And then the girlfriends are redacted. Special assistants, redacted. But Donald Trump's name is in the book. And then there is the full book, and you got to see some of the things that are in there. Now, one of these things is really disturbing to me. I want you to look at this drawing. These are drawings of, first of all, depicted children with balloons at a certain age. Let's go to that one, Andy. Excuse me. So you see the left, look how creepy this is. Now, do I need to, I'm just saying here. Do you remember the comment that Donald Trump made on the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. And this young girl went by. I think it was an escalator. But anyway, it was a comment that he made about a young girl saying, I'll be dating her in 10 years. So this is a sort of a similar sentiment. So you see 1983, and I guess a lollipop. You know, I'm trying not to wear my glasses so much. I think my eyes have just become dependent on it. So it's like, it looks like balloons and lollipops, right? And he's given to these little girls. And then 20 years later, right? 20 years later, they are massaging him on a lounge chair. Now, I don't see a bathing suit because it's being covered by someone's head. At least 2 of them are topless in thongs, one with a tattoo. You see the plane flying to what appears to me like a tropical island. This is the birthday book that Donald Trump participated in. I'm not sure how much I even need to say about this. Wait, there's more. Donald Trump with a check. This is a $22,000 check from Donald Trump. We can put that one up. Donald Trump with a $22,000 check. Right? You see this written to Jeffrey Epstein, signed by Donald Trump. And if you scroll down, it will explain to you what this check is. Jeffrey Epstein, showing early talents with money and women, sells a fully depreciated, they redacted the name, which is believed to be a woman, to Donald Trump for $22,500. Showed early people skills too. Even though I handled the deal, I didn't get any of the money or the girl. But anyway, he sold a fully depreciated, whatever it is, showing early talents with money and women, sells fully depreciated to Donald Trump for $22,500. That is redacted. Now, why is that redacted? Is he mentioning a woman there? Scroll back up to the check, please. Jeffrey Epstein, $22,500. Signed D. Trump. And then there's a person whose face has been blacked out. You can say redacted as well. That's not everything, people. There's much more to this degradation than meets the eye. There is a rob and kill plan. that is mentioned in the book. Oh boy. Let me go to this page. What page is that, Nikki? I have the fully. It's way in there. This page is it's 200 and some pages of stuff that you'd have to go through in this book. But anyways, there is a rob and kill plan that we're looking at in this photograph. And let's see if it explains to you. I believe rob and kill plan. Finally at home, at the home of our friends, let's call him Mr. Brown, Jeffrey unveiled his plan. To some, it may have seemed a get-rich-quick scheme. But to me, it was pure genius. Rob and kill was the name of the plan. The first victim, redacted, to be attacked and brutally plundered. Would she want more than that? On the boardwalk in Venice Beach? Broad daylight, the dastardly thieves were never caught. Postscript, I retired from the life, but I recently read an article in New York which led me to believe that my old friend Mr. E had continued on and become an industry leader. But it's nothing, remember. This is not a big deal. It's a hoax to Donald Trump. This is all a hoax. As the women were telling their stories, a survivor in Washington, D.C., where I was last week, live witnessing it, Donald Trump was in the Oval Office calling it a hoax and insulting these women. Jeffrey Epstein pulling knives on young women or girls in bathing suits. We picked up girls on the beach, went out on a boat. I tell them with knife in my hand to take suits off. But Warren tells, don't worry, his name is JN. He's just joking. He lives at 50 plus 50. I tell Mark to throw her into the water. He did. Still okay? This is locker room talk. You know, guys, it's like fratty bros. It's just, we're just hanging out, like girls in bathing suits where I pulled a knife on them. Oh, this shit's so funny, man. What happened? Did they give it up? Nah, I had to throw her in the water. Told them they were kidding. And then there are the drawings in here that look like they were done by children. In the birthday book that Ghislaine Maxwell put together for Jeffrey Epstein with an entry, according to the Wall Street Journal, from Donald Trump. No excuses. Keep scrolling. This is all the doodles that look like children. Here comes the bride, all dressed in white. Where's the groom? He's in the ladies' room. What is his, I don't know, a reminder to work on his binder? Reminder binder. I'm just saying, I don't know. Pardon me. I don't have time to mute because this is so gross. Redbird, you're right. This is disgusting. And Republicans are okay with it. Now, you hear all of this talk about girls and where this happened and what went on. I need to show you this because let me just make sure that I'm showing you that's all the stuff. Okay. You heard about all these modeling agencies right now. I want you to listen closely to what Representative Jasmine Crockett is saying here, because she has seen the evidence. The Oversight Committee has seen it. They've gone through it. And there are these modeling agencies or whatever. Now, I want you to pick up what she's putting down and remember how Donald Trump met some of the people he ended up going out with and then having even more serious relationships with. I'll let Jasmine Crockett explain. Here it is.
And so, like, this idea that he wasn't close to him is crazy. But I do think that it's going to be so important for us to really dig in, because what we are ascertaining is, number one, there were lots of modeling agencies that were doing things, and the modeling agency was basically a farce. And there's a lot of people that we want to talk to, and a lot of these models came from foreign countries. I'm just leave it there. Anyone specific? I'm gonna leave it there, but I am trying to dig on a certain thread for sure.
So that begs the question.
Anybody? Bueller? I think she's being extremely plain in her comments without saying names. Is it obvious to you? Now, those are the Congresswoman's words. And she said these were fake modeling agencies. Donald Trump's children are speaking out, and others who are trying to defend him in the strangest, oddest ways are speaking out. And there is a Democrat who has finally learned to step up to the plate to talk about what should happen next with Donald Trump and just how deep his ties and behavior goes within the Epstein saga, speaking out as well. And you are going to hear from him or them. 2 minutes. Word from our sponsors. Support comes from Wild Alaskan Company. Now, I used to wonder if I could really trust the seafood at the store, where it came from, what was it in, until I found Wild Alaskan Company. Their seafood is wild caught, never farmed, no antibiotics or additives, just pure, clean fish. And let me tell you, the first time I made their wild caught salmon, I ate their wild caught salmon, perfectly seared, flaky, buttery. It was restaurant quality in my own kitchen. Plus, I love knowing it is supporting healthy oceans and sustainable fishing communities. Every order is frozen right off the boat to lock in taste, texture, and nutrients like omega-3s. You can try it risk-free. If you don't love your first box, they're going to refund it to you, your money, no questions asked. Okay, so get seafood that you can trust. Go to wildalaskan.com/lemon for $35 off of your first box. That's wildalaskan.com/lemon for $35 off your first order. Support comes from Beam. You know, summer's almost over, sadly, but the chaos isn't slowing down. News, work, life, it all piles up. And when you are running on empty, you can't show up for anything. That's why I started using Beam's Dream Powder. It's a natural sleep blend that actually helps me rest. So for years, I told myself that I was fine on just a couple of hours of sleep. I wasn't. Now, I fall asleep faster, I stay asleep, and I wake up ready to fight the good fight with no grogginess, no crash. Dream Powder combines reishi, magnesium L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. It tastes amazing, like a bedtime treat, and it works. So, since using it, I feel sharper, more grounded, like I'm finally caught up on life. So right now, Beam is offering up to 40% off their Dream Powder for my listeners. So go to shopbeam.com/lemon and use the code LEMON for up to 40% off. Sleep well, wake up ready. Shopbeam.com/lemon and use the code LEMON. Okay? All right. Thank you to our sponsors. Let's get into this. Are you guys ready? Where shall we start? I want you to listen to this because you heard what Jasmine Crockett said. I'm going to play some of the Democrats, and then I'm going to play some of the Republicans, and I'm going to play Donald Trump's children and all the people who are making excuses for him. But I believe there's one Democrat that finally gets it, and as my producer said, has finally learned how to take the ball and run it down the field. Now, this is a California Democrat that had never heard of him. His name is Dave Min. But you tell me if Dave Min gets the assignment. Jasmine Crockett, I believe, has had the assignment for a while, and you heard her comments. Now Dave Min on the CNN. Here he is.
Again, I do want to say we have no reason to think that he was in any way involved with that check itself. Also, no reason to think he's connected to any wrongdoing involving Jeffrey Epstein.
What?
You noted, you're a prosecutor, you're a lawyer here. There's this
I would say
defamation.
we have lots of reasons to think he was involved in wrongdoing. I mean, at this point, there's a lot of smoke. There may
Now,
be some
pause.
fire,
Let me
but
say something. Let me say something. So John is a friend of mine. I love John. I think John maybe has to do that because he's worried about CNN getting sued, but he said there's no indication. I don't see if there was a reason to say that because this is this man's words. And then, but I've been there before. I get it. I mentioned circumstantial evidence. And as long as they're not releasing it, people can come to their own conclusions. So I can say, there's no indication. Okay, I get that part. But these are the congressman's words. And I would have simply said, okay, your words, we don't know. So I'm not shading John. I'm just saying, but I want you to back it up and I want you to listen to this congressman pushing back. This is how it's done. Here it is.
I would say we have lots of reasons to think he was involved in wrongdoing. I mean, at this point, there's a lot of smoke. There may be some fire, but I would just push back and say I think there's a lot of reason to think Donald Trump was involved.
Involved with what? I'm sorry, what exactly, what proof do you have that he was involved with wrongdoing in regards to Jeffrey Epstein? And if that's the case, why have there been no prosecutions over 20 years here? Because there haven't really been any allegations that he was involved with wrongdoing.
There are a lot of connections where Donald Trump was named, right? We had a 14-year-old claiming that she was raped by him, then withdrew that claim after she was apparently threatened. His name appears a lot. And again, we at this point, our job is to find justice for these survivors, and that means that we need to continue digging, knowing that there is a cover-up taking place right now. And I didn't say that we have proof. At this point, we have like a lot of smoke. But Donald Trump's name is clearly mentioned multiple times. We've seen him lie over and over about things that we now know to be true. So again, I think that we, as the Oversight Committee, we owe an obligation to the girls, the American people out there, to keep digging and find out the truth, whoever's involved.
Again, Donald Trump has not been named in any connection or charged with any wrongdoing there. Ghislaine Maxwell, take this for what it is, but Ghislaine Maxwell said, she never saw Donald Trump or anyone, for that matter, engaged in any wrongdoing connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Dave Midd, Congressman from California.
I will just point out that Ghislaine Maxwell was indicted for perjury after she made that statement that you mentioned, transferred to minimum security prison in Texas. So, again.
Look, Speaker Johnson sat right here and told me he doesn't really believe anything Ghislaine Maxwell says. I was merely stating what was in that transcript, but there are plenty of people on both sides of the aisle who don't put much weight in it. Congressman Dave Midd, thanks so much.
Dave Midd. Shit, get Dave Midd on the show. Call him up. Dave Midd gets the assignment. As a lot of, oh my gosh, I could not be there with the whole thing. Yeah, I would, at this point, I would say, yeah, we don't know. But I mean, it certainly looks like something is fishy because they will not release anything. And if you don't release stuff, then you leave people to come to their own conclusions about what's happening. There's absolutely nothing. There's nothing wrong if you say this man is saying, if he says, in my opinion, wow. What do you guys think of that? It's shocking to me. Now, that is one side of the aisle. Let me just make sure. That is one side of the aisle. One more Democrat. Because what J.D. Vance said. J.D. Vance said, Donald Trump should sue the Wall Street Journal, something like that, for defamation or ka-ching or something, that they're going to get money. All right, so something of that nature. Ro Khanna has a few words for J.D. Vance.
Candidly, the lawyers are still going through it, and they first looked for the birthday book. Obviously, they found the letter that the Wall Street Journal reported on. I think the Vice President Vance, should be asked to retract what he said, defaming the Wall Street Journal reporter. He said it was fake. Now we have the letter. And I also hope that the lawsuit will be withdrawn against that journalist, $10 billion lawsuit, now that there is the letter.
So,
So should he withdraw the lawsuit? Should he withdraw the lawsuit? I don't know. Let's talk to an attorney. I didn't intend to talk to Charles Coleman is with us. I didn't intend to talk to Mr. Charles Coleman Jr. about this. I wanted to talk to him about SCOTUS. But
we can do both.
Okay, Charles. So good morning. I was going to say come back in a little bit if you wanted to. Sorry, but Charles, thank you for joining us. By the way, Charles, we wanted him earlier. Charles is in traffic. He's working for you. So Charles, we appreciate you hopping on and speaking to us. Donald Trump said, he sued the Wall Street Journal. He sued the Dow Jones. He sued, I guess it was News Corp, Rupert Murdoch, and now they appear to have the goods. Should he withdraw his suit? Is Ro Khanna right to say, you know what, J.D. Vance, you should withdraw your statement?
Well, Don, I'll borrow a little bit of a lesson from what we sort of know from media and news in particular. And sometimes really it's that the retraction is usually never bigger than the headline. And so the damage has kind of sort of been done from an effective standpoint thus far as the president having filed a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal. Whether he withdraws the suit or not, which I do believe he should, of course, he should have never filed it in the first place. But the whole point was you have to give the appearance of looking like you're trying to fight. You have to give the appearance of basically saying that this is so erroneous, this is so false, this is so wrong that I'm willing to go to court and litigate and spend my money in order to defend my good name. Now, at this point, we know that the Wall Street Journal, in fact, did have the letter. It was a reasonable conclusion to know that a reputable legacy platform like the Wall Street Journal would not have run the story in the first place had they not vetted the letter for authenticity, if they didn't have the letter, and if they weren't certain that they would be able to survive a liable claim from the president. Yet and still, because he is litigious and has the resources to do so, it is about crafting a narrative to the public to be able to say to his followers, look, I'm fighting this to the full extent of the law. But to answer your question, now it really seems like the gig is up and he absolutely should withdraw this lawsuit.
Let me ask you one thing. Did you hear the exchange with Congressman Min that I played just moments ago?
I did.
Okay, so you heard it. Is there anything in there that is defamation or libel or slanderous or defamatory or that you heard from this congressman? He's basically
no, there isn't. I mean, I think that you of course have to issue a host of qualifiers and
right. John had to do that,
allegedly and language to protect yourself that establishes it as an opinion. At the same time, I think that where you can show a reasonable basis for articulating opinion, and that reasonable basis is rooted in fact, you will be able to protect yourself from charges of or claims of defamation. But I do think that one of the things that makes this administration and this president and this individual unique is that he has been incredibly litigious. And so sometimes people should consider that it's not necessarily just the ability to win that makes the difference. It is the ordeal of having to go through the process that people would seek to avoid. And so in that way, the threat of litigation, even if you can be successful, even if you can fight against it, is often a deterrent from a lot of people speaking up in this climate against someone who they know, whether they have the goods or whether they don't, will still try to take you to court.
One more soundbite I want to play. I believe this one is from CNN as well. And this is a Republican congressman.
A lot of CNN love here, Don, but I'm going to...
No. It just happens to be, talk to the producers, right? Because I know that we just played Jasmine Crockett on MSNBC. But listen, let me just say, and that's where I saw you this morning, Joe, and you did a great job. So this is Tim Burchett, and these are these people I don't understand. Like, what are they? Why are they up Donald Trump's ass like this? And why do they feel the need to carry his water? He's making them look stupid. Tim Burchett saying anybody can fake a signature. Now they're saying the signature that looks exactly like Donald Trump's signature. And when you overlay it onto his signature, it is his signature. But this is Tim Burchett.
I mean, anybody can do a signature. We've seen the auto pen's been used quite a bit with the Biden administration. So I've never known Trump to be much of a of an artist either. So I kind of draw that into question.
There's a history of him
But
drawing
the thing
stuff.
is, it's been there for 4 years, and now it's just come
he
out.
did not
I
answer
just
that.
don't buy
So
it.
you
He didn't
think
address
someone
that
might
part.
have just forged this somehow and sent this to the Epstein?
Somehow it's so easy to do. I just don't buy any of it right now because we have a prior administration that's had a history of dishonesty, and they bring something like this out now. Why wouldn't they bring it out during the campaign?
All right. So now, and there you see the signatures. I mean, it looks like his signature. One more, Don Jr. Not Don Jr. This is who's the other? Peter. What's his? Eric Trump. Here it is.
Eric Trump. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's something also beyond all this stuff. The news story today is that the stupid drawing, that your dad allegedly gave to Epstein. And you and I actually were sitting around joking about this a while back when it first came out. We were like, this is the most absurd stuff in the world. But Mike Johnson is like walking back. Last week he said, he was an FBI asset in the whole prosecution of this. Then he tried to walk it back. So this is like the dumbest thing in the world.
I can tell you my father does not sketch out cartoon drawings. I mean, it's insane. Not to mention Epstein's lawyer said he asked specifically about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump never once came up, and there was no correlation. And it's ironic, given that my father was the very guy that threw him out of the club because he thought he was a scumbag. My father's intuition was actually incredibly right.
Okay, so if you're prosecuting this case or you're defending, either one, if you're in a courtroom and someone said, well, that's not a signature, and then you brought in an expert, and then if you said, my dad doesn't doodle or draw, or this, he doesn't, and then you show that, he has doodled and drawn and auctioned them off, like would this stand up?
Yeah, for auction, actually.
For auction, yeah. So would this stand up in a courtroom? Like what would happen, Charles?
I think it would be a matter of credibility. I think that's really what it comes down to. But here's the thing about this that does matter. Yes, it is a credibility issue for the people who are saying, he's never done these things. There's no association that matters. There's no real connection here. And so the outright denials would absolutely speak to the credibility of whoever it is that is trying to sort of disassociate Donald Trump from Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the important thing that people have to remember, and I think that this is a conversation that media needs to be mindful as well. Every case, and you asked about the courtroom, which is really appropriate for here, every case is about a story, and you don't want some irrelevant, minute detail to become too much of a distraction in the overall story that people forget its relevance to the big picture. So even with this, people may start to wonder if there's so much emphasis placed on the sketch, the signature, the picture, what does it all mean in the overall wash? And I don't think that you spend too much more time focusing on this because people will have a hard time seeing the forest from the trees. And I think that that's really like the big connection that zeroing in on this story is not creating, because on a certain level, if I'm the defense, really, there's a part of me that says, so what? Yeah, it was him. He made the sketch. He sketched something for a birthday book and signed it. So what? Now what? We've lost sort of like where this piece fits in a larger picture. And I think that the greater emphasis that we place on it gives it a level of importance that maybe suggests to folks, well, really, there's something there. And if there's not, and you don't get there sooner than later, you're really going to lose people, because people are going to feel like, oh, this is really a nothing burger.
So where should they be? Where should the emphasis be placed?
I think you place the emphasis on the next step. All right. So we know that at some point he was named. That's clear. That's already been admitted. If you are concerned about this connection, get to the bottom. What is the extent of the connection? What evidence is there that either links or exonerates Donald Trump from this connection? And then also transparency around who else is on the list. So, the idea of Donald Trump here is a big fish, proverbially speaking, in terms of connections to Epstein for the rich and the powerful and the wealthy and the elite, but he's not the only connection. And so I think that, the emphasis is, where is the list? What is the client list? Does it
Hold it
exist?
right there, Andy.
I'm sorry?
Not you. I told Andy I want producer to hold it right there.
I
want you to respond to this after.
Where is it and who's on it? And I think that spending more and more time over the authenticity of a sketch or signature really gets away from that in a way that is actually beneficial to Donald Trump, because it makes people think this is not really a huge deal.
I agree with you on that. But when you look at this, what do you think? This, have you seen this one? The one on the left. 1983, girls with and then balloons and lollipops, and then 20 years later.
Yeah, I mean, I have. I think that.
And it says, "What a great country." That's what Donald Trump. That's his friend. Yeah.
The associations that people have with regard to Epstein's activity and what we know he was involved in is pretty disgusting, obviously. And I think that even more so underscores the need for the next step, if you will. Like we're very clear, even from the Maxwell trial, about many of the activities that he was involved in. And so that's not the question. The question really isn't what was being done. It was who was involved and to what extent were they involved. And so this is, again, another sort of like, it's jarring and upsetting and alarming to see. But Don, this is in many ways in line with what we already know was going on in the situation. The question really is, who is connected and how are they connected and to what degree are they connected? That's where we need to be placing the emphasis now.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about this. Is really disturbing to me. That is what the Supreme Court has done, basically saying, allowing people to discriminate against people. If you will, Charles, I need 2 minutes because I got to get this in, and then we have all the time in the world to talk about it. I won't keep you long, but let me just get a word in from our sponsors, and we're back with Charles Coleman Jr. Here it is. Support comes from MSI United States. Now, I read this just the other day, and it floored me. The Trump administration is destroying $10 million worth of contraception paid for by taxpayers. And meanwhile, 257 million women worldwide want contraception, but they can't get it. Here's the truth. When women don't have access, you see more unplanned pregnancies, more unsafe abortions, and in some places, pregnancy is still the leading killer of young women. MSI is changing that for just $6.50. That provides a full year of contraception for one woman. So for $65, you can help 10 women take control of their futures, keeping girls in school, families healthy, and women alive. So please give. Text LEMON to 511-511 or go to msiunitedstates.org. That's msiunitedstates.org, or text LEMON to 511-511. Every dollar changes lives. M as in Mary, S as in Sam, I as in international. Support comes from Shopify. This show started as a dream. Now it's a business, and Shopify helped make that happen. So they're the commerce platform behind millions of businesses worldwide, powering everything from household names to brands just getting started. Now, I remember launching our first piece of Lemon Nation merch. Remember the merch that you demanded? I had no idea how to run an online store, but Shopify made it real easy for me. Ready to go templates, tools for email campaigns, even AI to help with product images and descriptions. And the best part, you can start for just $1 a month. Turn those what ifs into wins with Shopify. So sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/lemon. That's shopify.com/lemon, and start selling today and turn those dreams into with Shopify. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Yes, thanks to our sponsors. It keeps us busy and viable out here on the streaming streets. Okay, so yesterday, the Supreme Court accepted another emergency request from the Trump administration, this time lifting a lower court's order that prohibited roving immigration agents in Los Angeles from profiling individuals on the basis of race, language, job, or location. So the majority ruled without explanation about why they were doing this. The Justice Kavanaugh filed a concurring opinion. Justice Sotomayor, joined by the fellow liberal justices Elena Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson, took our conservative colleagues to task in a blistering dissent, basically saying this is court-sanctioned discrimination on the basis of skin color, their accents, and the fact that they make a living by doing manual labor. What say you, Charles Coleman?
I want us to stop and think for a moment about the fact that the Supreme Court, which is the body chiefly responsible for upholding the Constitution and its interpretation, has just infringed upon one of the most basic and important constitutional rights and protections that all of us enjoy, and did so without an explanation. It's the without an explanation part that is most concerning here. Okay, so you've given the green light essentially to racial profiling based off of stereotype. That's really what this is, what we're talking about. Based off of someone's accent, when English is not an official language of the United States anyway. Based off of where someone works, where at the end of the day, people are doing whatever they can in this economy, which continues to pose greater and greater job losses in order to be able to feed their families, based off of the color of their skin and their perceived nationality. There is nothing about this that says that this administration and ICE will not mistakenly or intentionally target people who are Latino who are actually citizens. There's nothing about that that says this. There's nothing about this ruling that gives any real guidance. I said earlier today that I find it highly ironic that earlier Kristi Noem on Meet the Press talked about the fact that allegedly ICE wasn't even engaged in this sort of racial profiling. And yet here we are, them fighting tooth and nail, going to the Supreme Court in order to be able to have this order lifted so that these immigration roving raids can continue. This is really dangerous, Don. And it's dangerous not only because of the precedent that it sets around eliminating and chipping away at due process, eliminating and chipping away at people's Fourth Amendment rights against illegal search and seizure, but more importantly, because there is no rationale that's given. As we continue to see military essentially deputized in greater numbers around immigration enforcement, allegedly, or in part around immigration enforcement in places like DC, threatening in Chicago, talking about other places. How long will it take for the line between the military and what is going on with ICE and this new level of permission for racial profiling that they have now been granted by the Supreme Court to blur, where it becomes an ability for local law enforcement to legally, openly, and unabashedly engage in racial profiling for crime prevention or for law enforcement activities that have nothing at all to do with immigration? It's not going to take long. And it's not going to take long, and it's going to be a constitutional crisis.
Do you think that they did not give an explanation because they had none? There was no good explanation?
I don't think that there is. I think that there's something to be said there. I think that the thing that is very interesting about the Supreme Court is they are not last because they're always right. They're always right because they're always last. And what I mean by that is, they're as fallible as any other body of human beings, and the 6-3 majority, the supermajority that they have on the right, allows them to do this without any sort of check. There's no high. Again, they're right because they're last. There's nobody who's going to be able to come in and say, you can't do that, other than Congress. And we're not going to see that in this lifetime, at least from this Congress, in terms of somehow codifying or legislating around this. And so, yes, they did it in part because they did not, in terms of not having an actual opinion that was attached, because they don't have an explanation. There is no rationale behind this. There is not a justification that can be offered such that you would allow the Fourth Amendment rights of people to be infringed upon, and the due process rights that are created within the Constitution to be infringed upon, and somehow indiscriminately, whether they are illegal aliens, whether they are migrants here seeking asylum, or whether they're actual United States citizens, there's no rationale that you can create that would justify this. And because they have this 6-3 majority, there's not one that they need. They can just put this opinion out, and that in terms of the order, and make that decision. In terms of the way that this was presented to them procedurally, they can do that without any explanation whatsoever.
Charles, you said you're going into a constitutional crisis. I believe that we're there, but I think it's going to become elevated, and we'll see what happens. Hey, man, I always appreciate you joining us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. Charles Coleman Jr., the great Charles Coleman Jr., joining us this morning talking about that. We have some breaking news that's into the Don Lemon newsroom, okay? And it involves the economy. Employers added fewer jobs than believed. The data has been updated. This is just in. A preliminary annual revision could add to the political pressure on the agency that produces the data. Here is the bottom line as it relates to that, just so you know, and this is I'm from the New York Times that I'm giving this to you, but this is government data. The U.S. economy probably added close to 1 million fewer jobs in 2024 and early 2025 than previously reported. The latest sign that the labor market, until recently a bright spot in the economy, may be weaker than it initially appeared. The data released just this morning showed that employers added 911,000 fewer jobs in the 12 months through March than had been indicated in the monthly payroll figures. That implies the economy added only 850,000 jobs during that time, half as many as previously reported. We're in trouble. The Trump economy is in trouble. All is not as Donald Trump is saying. The revised data was released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics as part of a long-standing annual process known as benchmarking. This is a normal process that happens every year. But the big downward adjustment comes at an awkward moment for the agency just weeks after President Trump fired its top official following a separate set of negative revisions last month. This is Donald Trump's own folks revising this. The report doesn't directly affect the period since March, but the scale of the overestimate has led many economists to conclude that more recent job gains have probably also been overstated. That could concern policymakers at the federal level who have been watching closely for signs that the labor market is losing momentum. It's worse than we thought, unfortunately. So there you have it. You have the breaking news. You've got Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein's creepy book. Epstein's book that Donald Trump participated in. You have lawmakers lying about it. And you have family members making excuses for it, and lawmakers making excuses for it, and Donald Trump hiding something. If you want to know anything about our show, here's what you do. You go to donlemon.com. You can click on any of those buttons, and it takes you either to our YouTube page, to where you can stream us, and even our merch page. Okay, so if you go right to the YouTube page, you can click on subscribe and you can join. We need an army of people out there to fight against the lies and the bullshit and the autocracy that's happening in this country right now. And I believe it is up to independent media. So we need you to support us. We need you to support us. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you become a member. That's how we stay viable. We don't have the big, corporate sponsors that corporate media has, that legacy media has. And so we need your support. Okay? All of us out here on these independent streets. I'm not just talking about me. Of course, I want you to support this channel. You helped me build it. So you can check it out. Also, you can check out our merch. Check out our merch and check out the website. And there you go. Okay, so I appreciate you guys joining us. Let's look at some of the folks who bought some merch. Let's see, who do we have today? Who do we
We
have?
have
Great.
Margaret from California.
Margaret's
And-
got a turn the TV off sticker.
That is
homemade
homemade
lemonade.
in there too.
That's what, homemade lemonade?
Yeah.
I love homemade lemonade with an afro. Damn, that brings me back to the 70s. I want to go back to there. Oh, I love the sticker. By the way, speaking of stickers, I hope I don't knock us off the stream here. But speaking of stickers, check this out. Can you guys see this?
Nice.
You got the sticker right there. What else do we have?
Well, this was sent in from JB from North Carolina, the stickers they bought.
Hi,
We
JB.
have Cynthia from Chicago.
Hello, Cynthia. Thank you for your support, and thank you for the fan. The fan is a big hit. Thank you, Reese Colbert, for that. What else we got?
This is Lourdes from Boston.
Look at all these beautiful women this morning. My goodness. Hi, Lourdes from Boston. I hope you like the bag and the mug.
Last one, Yolanda.
Yolanda has the black Don Lemon fan. I'm Don Lemon's biggest fan. Thank you, Yolanda. Gorgeous lady. I love the hair color. Very nice. So, guys, thank you. Let's play the song. It's morning. Let's get everybody off to a big start. It's Matt Gregory on Instagram. And here we go as we head out of here.
It's the Don Lemon Show. It's the Don Lemon Show. He's unmasking the truth. He don't take no shit. It's the Don Lemon Show. Don Lemon. Don, 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 Don. Release the Epstein files.
Amen. Release the Epstein files. And thank you to Matthew, who says, tote bags be totin'. Thank you so much, guys. Okay. So I'm going to see you back here live at 5 p.m. Eastern time for Lemon Live at 5 here on the Don Lemon Show on the Don Lemon channel. And so you can be informed without being inundated until I see you back here. Turn the TV off. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never, ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.